we be creating content all the time? Should we be concerning about creating content all the time? Or we should take more advantage of the content we already have? Hmm? That's the question. If you want to know the answer, stay tuned because in a while I'll be back with Kate to talk about this. Hello, welcome to another the special marketing live show episode. It was a while since the last time I made a show here on LinkedIn, on Facebook, YouTube, and Amazon as well today and Twitter. And today we're going to talk about this thing which is so important, reusing the content, how we can take advantage of a portion of content and then make even more content and take advantage and also distribute them, because I think there's two problems, and we will discuss this with Kate, because one thing is create the content and the other thing really important is the distribution. Okay, so if you have any question, if you know someone who may be interested in this topic, please tag him, call him, send him a postcard, whatever. And don't forget as well to engage with the conversation, whether you're on Facebook, on YouTube, Amazon, whatever. Okay, stay tuned. And I will be bringing Kate to the. I left as usual. I today I had to clean the basement because it was a while since I didn't have any guest, so I had to clean the basement. I thankfully the glass of water remained there. Okay, but I washed. Okay, and the water, it's a clean water. It's not what, and also a cookie. So let's bring Kate to the screen. Hello, Kate.
I want a cookie. That sounds great.
How are you?
Can you come do my basement? I'll pay you extra. How are you, Marco? Great to see you.
I'm good, good. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for joining my show. It's
Thank
been a
you.
while since I wanted to have you here, and finally,
You did it.
yeah, absolutely.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's so
I
good.
will
Yeah.
ask you to introduce yourself, and then let's start the conversation, if that's okay for you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Kate. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Lately. It's Lately.AI, and we are a social media management platform that also creates content for you with the power of AI through repurposing, which we're going to talk about today. But before Lately, I had it's a zigzag of sorts of a career, Marco, but like now that I'm 47, I see the wisdom in my choices, or I'm gonna spin it that way now. But I was a line cook, so sweating in the kitchen with all the dudes, just like Anthony Bourdain says. And I was a rock and roll DJ. My last gig was broadcasting to 20 million listeners a day for XM satellite radio. And then I also owned a marketing agency, and my first client was Walmart. And I built this prototype for them out of spreadsheets, right? Remember spreadsheets that got the project 130% ROI year over year for 3 years. So that's my mini bio.
Just that. Just that.
That's all so far.
Okay,
But
we have here Chris saying hello from New York,
hi, Chris.
and Kristen from Colorado.
What up, Kristen?
You are so right. Repurpose. You worked hard making the content. Don't let it then
It's
sit
true.
around gathering dust. Yes, that's how it was my basement before today.
It
And
applies to so much though, right? Like I just did my hair for you today, Marco. That's why I was late.
no,
So it's very bushy, but like I only do my hair like once a week because I don't have time to do it because I need this to last for all week long,
yeah,
right? So like I think about everything like this. How can I make it like how can I get the most mileage out of everything I'm doing? You know?
absolutely, absolutely. I usually I do the same. I shave my head. So it's, yeah, yeah.
Then
And
let
the
it grow
cool thing
out.
is, yeah, yeah, and then it's grown. Okay, let's shave it again.
Yeah, well, you get a couple of months out of that, I'm sure, right?
Absolutely,
So
absolutely.
very
So
good.
before talking about lately, and we will go. I think we should talk about your path, everything you did, because one of the things that we heard, I think we heard so many gurus saying, "Stay focused,
Oh,
don't look around because you need to stay focused." What do you
mm,
have to say about it? Because I think
right.
every little experience, every kind of unfocused moment in our lives may become. I think it's not about focusing; it's being paying attention to things.
Yeah, I mean, right. And so another way of saying that for me is just trying to be the best human I can be in any circumstance, right? So like the human condition supposedly is we are not perfect, and whether you believe that or not, what I like about that is it it means that we must strive to be better, right? So if you're not striving to be better, then like what's the point of anything? So it doesn't really matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're a fiction writing major or a line cook or a barista or an astronaut or a dog walker, as long as you're doing it the best as you possibly can be doing it, right? And that's where the payoff comes, because you, that's how the zigzag becomes the straight line later, right? Because you have that's where you get the wisdom from. And to me, getting the wisdom and then reapplying it, see, this is a theme, using the metaphorically being like, this is a great thing I learned or a great thing I did. How can I take that knowledge and twist it, remold it, and use it here in this place, right?
Perfect, perfect. We have someone from Denver.
What up,
Do you
Lauren?
remember that cartoon?
Which one?
A dinosaur called Denver.
I
Yes,
do.
yes, yes. It played also here in Portugal. So you
Oh,
know,
really?
yeah. And then, okay, you said that you kind of draw lately, or something that later became lately.
Yeah, for Walmart. So, when I was there, so this is boring, but for the marketing nerds in the house, listen up. So this is in 2000, like 7 or 8 or 9, like somewhere early on. MySpace was still around actually, and Twitter was just really catching on. And so social had become part of the conversation for everybody, even the big dinosaurs, so to speak, like Walmart. And I was working with the National Disability Institute, and they asked me to consult them and join this project. And so it was a project between Walmart and all of their franchises, Bank of America and all of theirs, AT&T and all of theirs, the IRS, the disability team, and then United Way Worldwide. So there was about 20,000 players involved by the time I left. So it's a lot of people, and marketers at all different levels: nonprofit, for profit, government, small, medium, large, global, national, everything. And we were all behind a good cause, right? So that's why everyone was united, and we wanted to figure out how to market it. And so the first thing I did was I created an audit system, how to like do a 5-minute audit of all these companies, so I could understand, all right, well, we can't like tell people what to do unless we understand what their capabilities are, right? And so the first thing I learned, Marco, and this won't surprise anybody, I think, but marketers hate writing, and they're pretty bad at it. Right? So even the largest retailer in the world is hiring out for content creation. In this case, now video really wasn't around then. So this was a lot of blogs, newsletters, one papers, stuff like that. Well, we did have some videos, but they were a little bit different. So I thought, all right, well, we got to do some writing coaching, but that's going to take too long. So let's just create content for everybody and then teach them how to localize it. So right, and do it at a massive scale so that everyone can participate, but their own audiences get the feel that it's theirs. So that's how I got the project 130% ROI year over year for 3 years, is because I was looking at like a blog that I had wrote, and it was awesome because I wrote it. And I thought, all right, the title of this is boring. Walmart, helps people with disabilities get more money. Like nobody really cares about that, let's be honest. But the quotes inside the sentences were all kind of teasery if you took them out of context, like a movie trailer, like, oh, what's that? So I thought, well, let's use these as leads with a short link on the end back to the full piece. And if I do that with almost every sentence, I'll get about 40 social posts. It didn't take me very long to do that. And I can quickly customize it, add some hashtags in, whatever. And then I can disseminate it to the team, all 40 posts. They can use them randomly so we don't sound like everybody's saying the same thing all at the same time. But the link is the same, which is what you want, right? And so this idea of, number one, we're writing for people, we're removing that pain. Number two, we're better together, because that's a big one. And then, of course, there was the quantity. Like there was more, not one social post, but like 40 for each piece of content we had created, So we're able to stockpile up the calendar very quickly. And so that was part of the impetus for Lately on a functional side. Do you want to hear about the AI side?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So now this is for the music fans in the house. So come on over a little bit closer, which is also a song, isn't it? So when
wait,
I
wait,
was,
just wait,
yeah,
just a little.
sure, got it. Just a little.
You can start.
There you go. You are cool, my friend. You're so cool. Um, remind me to ask you about your helmet logo in this interview at some point.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So what I learned in radio, I was really super lucky. I got brought up in radio that was like live. Oh my God, that existed, right? It was live radio. And we were allowed to pick our own music. And we were told to really make it an art of sorts. Like each segue needed to be perfect with same key. And you were supposed to take people across different genres, traveling between multiple decades of music as well. So I was in a lucky format. It's called adult album alternative. It's kind of like the music you hear on NPR, more or less, the rock music. And it was a mix of, by the way, rock, reggae, and blues and stuff like that. So it was intelligent music, I guess. And the theater of the mind was a huge idea. So for guys, if you don't know what that means, the theater of the mind is when your imagination must play a role in the conversation. So it happens when you read a book, of course, right? You don't have all the pictures there for you. Like, you have the story that you make up in your mind, which is why the book is always better than the movie. It always is, right?
Absolutely.
Always, and it's never not. But with radio, it's the same idea, that with sound alone, your mind, your imagination has to play a part there. Now, when I came up in radio, Marco, there was no internet. Nobody knew what we looked like. Thank God. Yeah, right. That just didn't exist. So you had all this mystery too, as well. And I was taught that as the person wielding the mic, just like you today, it's my job and your job to make the people on the other end, the listeners, in this case, the watchers, whatever, feel as though that they have a voice in the conversation, that they're part of it. It's a two-way street, right? And how do you do that? I mean, when you're talking, in my case, in a black box to nobody, right? How do I make them feel like they're part of, they know something about me, they can connect? And that's exactly how you find that common denominator, and you make mistakes, you throw out pieces of information. Like today, we've done a lot. We've talked. I told you about the mask. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the sculpture there. We talked about radio here. Like I'm dropping all kinds of little touch points for the people who are listening to get access to me, to feel like they have something in common with me. That I'm not this weirdo sitting in another country where our last president was even weirder. And there's a Pac-Man poster behind my head. Like, who is this girl? So what I learned was about the neuroscience of music. When you listen to a song, Marco, your brain instantly, when it's listening to a new song, it instantly accesses every older song you've ever heard before, every single song in this moment. And it's trying to find familiar touch points to know where to index that new song in the library of your brain's memory. So by default, nostalgia and emotion, all these things happen when you listen to music. It's why it's so powerful. That theater of the mind is also, compounding this. So your voice, Marco, when you write text, there is a voice that you read and hear when you read someone's text. You can hear the voice, right? So and it's the same idea as the author of a social media message, for example. I want you to hear my voice and find that familiar touch point so you connect with me, so you trust me, and give me your money, essentially. Yeah. So this ties into how our AI works. So Lately's AI first studies me. I write my own social posts by hand originally, like a human, and it takes these as best practices because I was a fiction writing major and I did write thousands of radio commercials, so I do know what I'm doing. Um, and it studies them and it uses that as a baseline. And then it studies all of you, all of our customers, um, not only their analytics of what they're publishing, but what they're doing inside the platform, and uses that. And then it'll learn from you individually as well. So there's a very delicate balance between the human and the robot. And again, it's looking for the familiar touch points that not only I set forth, but that your audience is looking for at the same time. Nerdy? I'm nerdy, right? Little
I
nerdy.
was just looking about this that Chris just wrote
Chris is
on
good.
social media. Social, we want to connect with the human, and I think it's really important.
Yeah, he lives that credo, right? Like there's nothing that it's a rare thing where you really want the robots to run on their own because robots are cold. Humans take a long time. But humans and robots together, this is that spark, you know? So it makes the magic.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you were talking about writing, and it made me. It reminded me about something I heard of some months ago about the check this out.
Mm, right. I don't like that one because it's so lazy, right? So what Marco is referring to is the call to action. Check out my photo, check out my blog, check out my video, check it out, right? It's a toss aside that we all use. It's very lazy, actually. And worse, it doesn't compel anybody to do anything. So I dare you to show me the last time someone actually clicked on the thing that you said check out to. They don't, right? Unless you're my mom and you're sending me a text, then I'm going to do it. But like, and it's because it's deceiving because it doesn't tell you anything. What's going to happen if I click this? There's no mention of the value, right? And so that makes people not trust it. Remember, I said before, trust is the commodity that you want. That's the one that's the most valuable. And there's all these wonderful verbs in your language and mine, beautiful, lovely verbs that do a great job of describing what's behind the link. And they make you stand out because people are such generally lazy writers that they don't exercise, their vocabulary, right? So you'll see me. So what should the call to action be, Richard? Great question. It depends on obviously what's happening, behind the thing, right? So, for example, you might want to say like if it's check out my blog, and the blog happens to be about um, mental health for female entrepreneurs discussing mental health tips and tricks. Let's just say that's the subject. I'm just making this up because I'm a female entrepreneur and I'm freaking tired and a little crazy. So you would want to like instead of say check out my blog, you would want to say um, um, two things I learned from a female entrepreneur that'll take you less than 6 minutes a day to breathe deeper and get more done. I'm just making that up. Right?
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so
yeah.
there's a lot there. Like that's very clear. I didn't even use a verb. That's my favorite thing to do is I didn't even use a call to action. I just all I did was describe part of what's in the blog. Right? And I'm forcing you to click it to figure it out. When you don't even have to use a call to action at all, that's next level because it's less salesy, right? Any call to action tips somebody off that you're selling them something because we all are. I mean, it's fine, but we all are selling something. We all want people to do things for us, period. Whether it's take out the trash or clean up your room or buy my software,
Absolutely,
right? Or clean the
absolutely.
basement, right, Marco?
Absolutely.
um,
But Yes, yes.
Oh, I was just gonna talk about the. I want to talk about the mask for one quick second, apropos of nothing, which is the reason I like your logo so much is because I was also an art. I was a sculpture major. I like minored in sculpture basically, in with fiction, and what I loved um, I love the art. This is another thing where I'm like looking at different things differently. I love the art of sculptural warware. I find it fascinating that as a race, we spend so much time crafting these beautiful pieces of weapons and brassiers and all kinds of things that we wear only to go be destroyed, right? How interesting is that? And that's along the lines of what we started the conversation with, which is be the best at whatever you're doing, right? So why not? If you're going to make a broom, it might as well be the best broom in the world. Why if you're going to make a helmet, why not make it gorgeous? You know?
Absolutely,
If you're
absolutely.
if
Well,
you're going to write a social media post, why not make it the best one?
abs- absolutely, absolutely. Well, I can explain shortly
Oh,
the the logo.
yeah.
I was I think it was around 7 years ago. I started my freelance business, okay, and I met a designer on Facebook, on a Facebook group, and I called him. Look, I need because I joined BNE. I don't know. I know you know. Okay,
Mhm.
BNI. It should be
You
the
and I.
right
Yeah.
way. And then I needed business cards, and I called him. Look, I need business cards. Can you do that to me, please? And he said, no, well, I rather make the concept and the logo and blah blah blah. And I said, okay, let's do this, let's try it. And we were talking for a while. And what do you want? Okay, he made his design job really well. Okay, so I don't know, maybe 2 weeks later he comes with this, and I didn't even ask him to move a line.
It was so
Okay,
good.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
It
because
is.
the funny thing is, my name comes from the Latin, I think, and there was this warrior god Mars, or Marth,
Hmm.
and Marco comes from there.
Great.
Okay, and also at that times I was in a theater play just here in my village. Okay, and I was also a warrior. Okay, and
Oh,
so
no way.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And for instance, let me show.
This is what we're talking about, right? Did you guys know this
Look,
about Marco? Let's see.
look,
Hey, there you are.
yeah,
That's
look.
amazing. You look great. Wonderful. That's incredible. So interesting. So I wonder, I'm sure having a theater background must really help your marketing career because you're able to um, essentially take on other the roles of the brand, of the voice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And for instance,
Mhm.
being in front of the camera, for instance, it's not a problem. And
Right?
for instance, making shows in three different languages is not a problem, because one of the things you should learn from theater is that mistake is there, okay,
Right.
and embrace it. That's the
That's
point.
right.
It's not about being perfect. It's how to deal. For instance, this play I had was I make kind of it was a warrior challenging the French army from Charlemagne. I never know how to say it in English. Okay, it was
Uh,
the
Charlemagne.
emperor.
Charlemagne. Yeah.
Yes, that emperor that founded Europe or something. And
Mhm.
this was a giant. It was a mythologic giant from um, Turkey,
Cool.
which challenged, and he has to scream, look, and I made a play in Algarve, in the south of Portugal. And while I was doing, I my voice went. I,
Oh no.
yes, it was, and this was just at the beginning of the play.
Wow.
Okay, so I had to calm down, kind of reset. Okay, you made this so many times. Calm down,
Mhm.
and this and drink a little bit of water. Okay, and then I keep moving. Okay,
And it
and
worked.
so yeah, absolutely, absolutely,
So,
and
and there you
listen,
go. Like there's you metaphorically applying what you learned in another sphere to
absolutely,
here.
and I also love this crossing learning or something, or learn crossing,
Yeah.
because I'm not that person that thinks that being focused and just think about this will lead you to the success. Even though also success is it's not one way word, you know.
That's true. Right. You have to I call it failing up or falling up, right? So like if you give yourself permission to do that, then you can learn on the way and move forward, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. But
Um,
we are talking. We are here to talk about you, not about me, because
I
I'm
like the
boring.
reverse interview. It's fun.
So, and I think we should have in mind this. Okay. You can share your perspective about this because we are talking about a tool which allows you to take even more advantage of your content by
Lately.
repurposing and recycling and reusing. My question, Kate, is should we have in mind, and of course we should plan our content, of course we should think what we're gonna say uh, for instance, to avoid the check this out.
Mm-hmm. There you
Okay,
go.
so which, having in mind, okay, this big piece of content will
Hmm.
generate after even more content,
Hmm.
which advices uh, should we have in consideration when we plan our content, having this in mind?
So great question. And the first one, the rule is create legacy content from the get go, right? So make sure that your mindset is of that, is that whatever you're writing or producing is going to be useful for years to come, right? And that's actually way easier said than done. So, I mean, sorry, it's way easy to do. So like for example, um, there's little things you can do to affect that. Little things are try not to use dates and try not to use language that is you want to be um, you want to be present in the language you're using. The present voice as much as you can, and you want to reference things that are either global or super well known. Now, if I like to reference things from because I'm corny, so like the 80s and the 90s, sometimes the 70s. If you're going to do that, again, it just has to be widespread. Now, if you're not, if it's okay when it's not widespread or wide well known, it's okay as long as though you make it seem like something. The exclusivity is so inclusive that people feel like they're getting a piece of you, but they don't feel dumb, right? So the dumb is again on NPR, National Public Radio here in the States. They always say, well, of course, that was Will Shortz, the puzzle master from the New York Times. Now, the of course makes you feel like a dumbass because you didn't know who that was, right? So those are little things that you can do where you want to reference something in a way that makes people feel like they are in on the joke somehow. The other thing you can think about is the one-liners. So because I'm already thinking how I can turn this into a social post, I write in one-liners. And for you today, I'm going to ask you for the file of this recording and run it through our own AI. And so I'm carefully giving my AI one-liners today, right? Also, so I'm thinking about how can I reuse this, and just so everybody knows, really quickly, and not to be a commercial, but for context. So, lately. Instantly studies all of your social channels that you give it access to, and it goes back for a year, and it's looking for the posts that have had the highest engagement for you, and it looks at the keywords and the phrases and the sentence structures, and it builds a writing model based on what it already knows is rocking with your audience. And then when you feed it long form content, it takes that model, which it updates every day. It's constantly learning, and you can even curate it, and then we apply the model to your long form content. So if you give me a video, we transcribe it. The video can be in Portuguese, by the way, and we'll do a transcription in Portuguese, and then we'll look for all the best sentences that we've written for you in the transcription, and find the video clips in Portuguese, right, for example, and match them up and give you social posts of you saying the one liner with the video clip of that same thing. So then you can use, and you might get hundreds. So then you can use them as a promotional tool, trickled out over into time, because that long tail is exponentially more valuable than butts and seats, right? This is the mindset change that the whole world just figured out. We got it sooner, but getting people live is not as important as getting them later, right? Because that's how we all digest content now. We binge Netflix later. We don't listen to live radio. We listen to Spotify or Pandora, or whatever, something like that. So that's what we're talking about today, just to give folks some context, right, on the
Absolutely.
reuse.
Yeah, yeah, and the other point is, for instance, okay, I'm liking this live video, for instance, but I had to go, and I will turn back to it later,
Right.
for instance.
Yeah. So
Okay.
think about marketing the same way. Can you do after the fact marketing or at will marketing? And what I mean by that is, so marketing typically has stayed with, we know that consistency is the thing. We know this, right? But we're all so allergic now to being spammed and over messaged that we don't want that, and it doesn't work anymore. So you have to think about, well, how can I say the same thing differently a million times? And the other reason you want to do that is because um, the way that we look at demographics has changed. So our friend David Allison, who I have to introduce you to, he has a database called Value Graphics, and he consults the United Nations. And there's 56 words that actually trigger or describe the values of humans across the globe, like productivity, family, stuff like that. And they cut across every demographic. So instead of looking at people who are age 20 to 25, white men who live in Kazakhstan, right? You can instead group people by what they care about. So if Lately is giving you 40 messages, each one of the keywords in there, it's already picked out the words that your customers care about, all the different ones, right? So you get you the likelihood of you catching more fish goes up like that.
Absolutely. So let me see if I I learned the lesson. So besides, lately we'll kind
You
of,
can do that
okay.
by hand, by the way, right? What I described, you can do it by hand without the
Yeah,
AI.
yeah,
It'll be
absolutely.
harder. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But okay, so there's a kind of a truck which goes with your content. Okay, let me put this content here and this there and whatever. But also, it's kind of an advisor. Okay, the next, you should talk more about this, or you should talk often about this.
Yes. Exactly, right. So we surface word clouds for you that literally contain the words of value to your target audience. And you have the opportunity to see them before you do a podcast. So you could be like, okay, well, what what do my people really care about? It's right there for you. And you can curate it. You can be like, oh wait, that word is actually something I don't want you to pay attention to, because the AI is only a robot. It really is. So it needs a human to say, um, pay attention more to this or less. It needs to be guided, it just does. Which is how we want it. We designed it this way. Again, we're getting back to the humans and the robots hand in hand. A great metaphor is Betty Crocker. So when Betty Crocker it developed cake in a box, right? We've all bought that before. When they first developed it, Marco, they actually made it so you only had to add water or oil. There was even powdered eggs were in there, and it didn't sell very well. And the reason was because at the time, the housewives, which were the people who bought it then, didn't feel as though they had made a cake. So they took the powdered eggs out so that you had to add eggs yourself. And then there was this feeling the human was involved. The human made the cake. They could proudly say that they did, right? So do you guys see? Like, and it's a huge leap, right? That's that magical, and it's sort of a je ne sais quoi. You can't describe it. It's that visceral thing that only we can add. Only we. We're
Absolutely.
doing it here today, me and you. Like, I don't even know you, but I feel like I would love to have a beer with you.
Okay, and come one day. Hopefully, Portugal will be a free country
Yes,
again,
great. Count me
and
in.
you can come here because it's a lovely country. Even though I'm suspicious to be talking about my own country, but it truly is.
Count me in. Excellent.
Absolutely. And let me ask you two things that I think people may want to know a little bit about this. The first one is, does Lately also checks your competitors? And the other one,
Um,
yes, yes,
well,
yes. Okay,
no.
I won't forget.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It can't because we have to access your social media channel, so your logins and passwords, right? So we can't access theirs. Um, but we do have a feature where you can type in any website and quickly see their top keywords over the last 30 days. So there is that little spying element, which is good to know.
perfect, perfect. And the other thing is, do they this? I think it should, because it makes all sense for me. And if not, and you'll get the idea, you have to pay me at the end.
Awesome. You got it.
Because
You're
I think,
hired.
do you, does he takes in does it looks for each platform, and he because I'm pretty sure that maybe, for instance, the what people are engaging on Twitter could be different that what people are engaging on uh, LinkedIn, for instance.
Yes, it does. So you can curate the AI to look at different channels, or let's say you have multiple LinkedIn accounts and you're managing the executive people's social accounts. You can have it dial into their different voices, and you can also look at different themes. So if maybe you have a campaign for Easter and then another one for Passover, you can actually track what the AI is learning across those campaigns as well. It's fun.
Perfect, perfect.
Honestly, it's so
Yes,
interesting. Like, so for example, we also the word clouds form um, not only in the context of what you're using, but we use them for at mentions, so you can see who gets you the greatest reach all the time, like so who you should be tagging or engaging with. And then we also do them for hashtags, because it doesn't matter. I don't need to like try to hop on hashtag Beyonce to get on top, because my customers don't care about that. So here's a list of the hashtags that are blowing up with them. Um, so for example, like a big one in my word cloud recently was hashtag peeing my pants. Because Gary Vaynerchuk posted about us, and so I was peeing my pants. I mean, come on. But that's interesting, because what that tells us, and this happens often for us, is there was for a long time the golden rule on hashtags was to like use what's already there, not to use them, not to make up some. And we learned actually make it up all you want, because the made up ones get the reshares, which is what we're going for. And the reason they do is because they're either adding some kind of context to what I already said in the social post itself, or humor, right? Or some kind of ta-dun-dun, right? Um, and so that has been a really valuable tip and trick for us, and for you guys too, like just to think, these are new ways to think about what's already in front of us, right? It's a theme today, right, Marco? You know?
but because I was thinking, and sometimes there's a thing that ruins marketing, which is assumption. We
Mm,
assume, we think, intuition. Okay, sometimes intuition is good, yes, but having the data could could be more interesting, right? And
yeah.
do you have any you can talk about yourself, any surprise? Okay, you thought that this would be the thing, and then you look at data and you thought, oh my god, I was so wrong.
For sure. I mean, that happens to us as a company, as a startup all the time. And, I've surrounded myself with creative thinkers who I'm bad at taking criticism, but my team is very good at it. And we are also nimble enough to make the changes. So first of all, we have the wherewithal to listen. And that's the big one. And then to act, and to know that you don't really need a lot of time. You don't need to do a survey. You don't need a million proof points. You really only need two or three, and it's time to go. Um, so for us, when we built Lately, for example, we built it as an organizational platform, which sounds very unsexy. But that is one of the major things I had done for the Walmart program, which I took every piece of content and organize it. And so like one of the things, let me back up. So Lately does this stuff in the background for you. As soon as you upload your social passports and whatever, we not only when we're looking at the words and keywords and pulling together that information, but we go and find every photo and video you ever published in the last year, and we put it in a library. It's all indexed for you, right? We pull together every social post you published for the last year. You can search it with one word. You know how hard that is to do? You can search them all, right?
Yeah, I know.
So it's hard.
I
We
know.
we instantly build a calendar for you from that's like boom, the calendar is there. We backfill it for a year for you, and then everything going forward, it's all there. So it takes this huge. We downplay this stuff because we learned it's cool and it's helpful and useful, but it's not sexy. And so we had to switch. We had to watch customers, and we saw, oh, the feature they like the most is this little button where you push and we give you a bunch of social posts. And we didn't even know it was called AI then, Marco. We had to learn that. And then we had to actually do it to make sure that it is this really AI? I mean, this is a sexy thing people are talking about. We're not sure. And then we had to invest in that. So yeah, it happens all the time. And it's part of the fun. I'm I don't think I'm ever surprised because it's happened. The change and the information that we have is coming so fast and furious constantly all day that my job is like to be this dashboard of information, right? And to decide, like, I mean, most of the time it's negative. I mean, it is. So like I got a lot of houses on fire. There's 50 houses on fire every day. And I'm like, okay, which one gets the water? And even the one that gets the water, I can't really put it out. I just have to sprinkle it and save a floor, you know? But that's because that's my mindset. Um, so I'm not really so surprised. But I think, as marketers, that's our job is the marketing itself hasn't changed since literally somebody sold the first wheel. It has not, right? It's the same. And social selling has been social again since somebody sold you that wheel. It's just the tools, right? Just the tools have
Absolutely.
changed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before coming into the next question, please, if you are watching us on Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, uh, Periscope, well, not Periscope, Twitter or Twitch, whatever. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section. Okay. If you want to say hello, just say hello. Say it. Okay. Because we want to hear from you as well. There are two I like to say 1 million questions when we talk about social media.
Yes, there are.
Okay, I think, for instance, lately, lately,
There you go.
I've been doing some trainings about content for LinkedIn, and there I used to say, okay, these are the 2 million questions. First one, how many times should I
Yes,
post?
everyone asked that question.
Yeah, absolutely. And which is the best time to post?
Yes, everyone asked that.
Okay,
Yep,
so
constantly.
let me add uh, before this question, which is how many content should I create
Mm.
to feed properly the next two questions? Did I make myself clear?
Yes, yes, you did. Yeah, exactly. So great, and it's really great. It depends, of course, on your cadence, is what we're talking about. And cadence is how often, when, and what channels, right? That's the other nugget in there. So that's why you need that calendar to plan all those things out. In my opinion, on Twitter, there's basically not too much. There's no too much. It's always you can't do enough, right?
There's always room for another tweet.
There's always room, yeah. And so, like, you have to back into it based on what you said. So if Twitter, you can do, let's say, 20 posts a day, which is what we can do. And then LinkedIn, it's one a day right now because they just changed the algorithm. Um, and then, Facebook, I think we do 2 or 3 a week. I think we go super light there. Maybe it might be one. And then Instagram, I think we do 2. And and TikTok is in the mix as well. So if you know that this is your cadence, you can pretty much plan it out. You can use the time thing as well. But on LinkedIn, I found so LinkedIn is not immediate. That algorithm works later, so you want to really it's hard to promote like I'm doing a conference tomorrow at 2 p.m. It's really hard to get people there unless you're planning in advance on LinkedIn. But Twitter is more immediate, right? You can have that kind of get people in the moment. So if you have to think about those things with the content, I think about it like this. Nobody The chances of me pulling up Facebook right when you wrote your post are like zero, right? Or LinkedIn or Twitter or anything like that. So in radio, we purposely played you the same song 300 times or more in a week, hoping you would hear it once. The old, as you know, Marco, the old marketing adage said that you had to hear or watch a commercial 7 times before it sunk into your brain, right? You knew that. These days, it's 12 to 14 times. You have to have that message absorbed. So think about that. So I have to know who you are, or something has to resonate with me about you 12 to 14 times before I take an action. That's a lot. This is why that long tail we're talking about is so valuable, because it 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 knows that that's the deal, right? You're just reminding me as I'm saying this that I need to dog food a little bit more of my own medicine, actually. Katie, I know Katie's listening here. She's my marketing manager. Katie, we're going to have to think about some of our own promotional stuff and really stretch it out a little more. I'm usually the guilty one too. Do you have this problem, Marco, where like the shoemaker has no shoes? You ever heard that phrase?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Here in Portugal, how do we say it? In
Yeah.
the guy who works with iron.
Yeah. Not the welder. Is it the welder? Welder?
I don't know.
I don't know. But anyways, that guy.
And they have wooden spoon.
Oh, that's great. That's so great. I love that. That says it even better. Yeah. The guy that works with iron has a wooden spoon. That's what it
Absolutely,
feels like,
absolutely.
right? So that's and just to clarify for everybody, like the entrepreneur's bane is usually like you don't even have time to do what you do best for everyone else, you know. And that we're guilty of that as well. And it's mostly because, you're just doing all the other things, all the other basement cleanings and stuff like
Absolutely.
that.
Well, and there's another question, and
Sure.
you throw me the red carpet because you were just in time, because I do trainings about social media and content and everything, and when I talk about reposting
Mhm.
something, oh no, I won't do that because I will annoy my audience, and I say, okay,
No.
your thoughts on this, please.
Yeah, so that is, and hey, Anita, by the way, that is old antiquated thinking, and it's super wrong, right? Again, because like everything is opt-in, number one. So I can choose to hear your message or not, like depending on when I sign into Facebook or whether I'm or wherever, if I'm having it ping me or not. So that's number one, is it's an opt-in world we're in now. And like again, imagine like I have to be logged into Facebook exactly when you publish to see that message. That's just crazy. And also make it a good problem to have. So first find out what is the tolerance of your people. Like, 'cause I know you're going to not lose one sale if you happen to over publish one day. Like you're not. So test it out. Find out what's the threshold. Prove to me that people are going to complain. I'd love to see it, because it never happens. It never happens. Like email is actually the only place that is the only place where it happens. And you just see it with the unsubscribe. It's pretty clear there. But I think that you know I was just going to say, like, if you're happy with how your marketing is doing now, then keep it that way. If it's working for you? I don't think it is. Then keep it that way. That's the question, right? Like, so people will say to me like, "Oh, well, I really need more leads, but I don't want to change anything I'm doing." And I'm like, "Well,
Houston, we have a problem.
We have a problem then. Yeah, it's not. It's very the science of marketing. There's science and art. The science is very clear, right? The art is less clear, but the art is more on the messaging, honestly, not on the timing or the publishing or the amount and all those things. That science is already been done. We already solved that problem in the world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think for me, for instance, I had one day in a training. I started, okay, how often you should publish, and this guy, and because sometimes people are mean,
Yeah,
people
they
have
are.
questions to provoking, but I don't think it was the. I think he's a shy guy, okay, and he doesn't want to bother his audience. And he said
Mm.
to me, "Look, and if I think we were talking about because those days were uh, Facebook days,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah, yeah.
it
They
should
had a
be a
day.
hundred years ago or something."
Yeah.
And he asked me, and if my audience doesn't want to hear from me, and I said, well, so why are they following you on Facebook?
Right. Why are they exactly, of course. Right. Why are they following you? It's really what you're getting at is objective, and we all forget all the time, like, what's the objective of what we're doing, right? So, with social media, it's very to reach or convert. Reach is get reshares, convert is click link. It's very, very easy. There's only those two things that are going to happen. The smaller you are, the harder it is to get people to click a link because they don't trust you, frankly, right? That's why branding is so important. So you're going for the reshare. So think about that. What would what would compel somebody to reshare your content? And the trick there is ego. People share content because they want to get credit for what you did, right? It's kind of like in college when someone came and told you about a new band, and then you told somebody else. Now you get the credit for being the person with a great taste, right? It
Absolutely.
happens. And so I think that's the main thing is to think about your objective. So like if your objective is to like still not sell a lot of whatever you're not selling, then don't come to my marketing class. That's cool, right? And that's the other thing too is I think like I found when I had a marketing agency and I was consulting people, when someone wouldn't take my advice, it was so frustrating because I was like, why are you paying me? Then, and that's when you fire a customer. You just fire them because you're like, this is not working.
I made kind of the same, yes.
Good for you.
'Cause,
Good for you.
okay, you should do this, and this, and then you look back and they were doing just like they were doing before, and I said, "What am I doing here?" Like the song, "What?
Yeah,
I don't belong here."
I don't belong. It's just so those are my favorite three words, by the way. This isn't working. Because when
Absolutely,
you say that, it frees you up. Right? It gives you the permission to make the choice that was hard before, but then you just said it out loud and now you know it's the right thing to do,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. Well, Kate, we are coming almost to the end, and I want you to give three reasons to my dear beloved audience to want to know even more about lately.
Three reasons. Okay.
Yes.
I like you, Marco. So the first reason is to repurpose your content and do it with AI, right? The second reason would be we get customers like Gary Vaynerchuk. You guys know him, Gary V?
I think I heard
That guy?
something.
So we get him a 12,000% increased engagement.
Whoa.
12,000%, right? Our more typical customer gets about a 180 to 240% increase in engagement. So that's the power of AI. It's not a little, it's a lot, right?
And
That's the
we are
difference.
talking about Gary V. We are not talking about
Yeah,
a small thing.
right. Exactly. Right. I mean, who doesn't want to be Gary Vee? This is the way to do it. He
Yeah,
talks about the pillar method all day long, and lately is the way to do what he's asking you to do, what he's
absolutely.
recommending. And then also, we only use Lately to market Lately, Marco. So we don't do any paid ads and no cold calls and no cold emails. We only use our own product. And we have a 98% sales conversion. 98%, because the AI is smart AF.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Well, I was missing the section of my show, and you should make it as well. So just we will be right back. Okay. So I call it this the guest suggestions. Okay, I will explain what is this.
Okay.
It's my departure creative department. I think they went too far with this name to this section of the show.
Awesome.
So in this section, I ask my guests to leave some suggestions. A book, a professional. Let me see if I don't. A tool, a habit, a movie, and a TV show. I will recall each of them. Okay, so don't.
Oh, I got to do all of them, not just pick a one.
Okay,
Okay.
nah, nah, come on.
Okay. So the book would be, um, I would say Kitchen Confidential. I love that book. That's the Anthony Bourdain's book that he put him on the map. And my favorite chapter is the one about the language of the kitchen. This is a completely offensive book. So if you don't like swearing or sexism or racism, it takes you through how it is really in the kitchen. It's a great, um, pull back the black curtain. And I work in kitchen, so it's all true. But the reason I love that chapter specifically is because I love the vernacular of microcosms, right? So my team has its own vernacular in Slack. We have things that we say that no one else would understand, and it happens organically. It's so interesting. And the reason I like that is because I'm a marketer, I'm a writer. I'm always thinking about voice and how to communicate with people. So that's my book for you. Um,
Professional.
let's A professional. I'm just going to say me. I'm I'm on a mission to not only make software that's amazing and helpful and useful, but to lift others up. I'm an underdog. I've been getting punched in the face for 7 years. Female founders only get 2% of all venture funding. 2%, right? That's incredibly nothing. So I have to work really, really hard to play this particular game that I'm playing. And it's the best thing I've learned about this whole thing is like when now I'm in the position to actually pull other people up when I can, and I do. Um,
Are you
and
thinking about a book? The two
yeah,
percent.
the book. Wait, what? Say it again.
I, I was just teasing you to write a
You-
book
Oh,
about the 2%.
I should. I should. Oh, the book is going to be so good. I got stories, Marco, that
Okay.
sometimes I tell them, but I've got great stories about people being idiots and not even realizing it. And it's not so much to shame them, but like it's the learning from it. For Thanks, Kristen. For women especially, I find that we don't even realize when we're in a situation and something uncool is happening. We don't often have the wherewithal to say, "Stop! I don't like this" or whatever in that moment because we're freaked out or whatever happens. It's only afterwards, not only after, but it's often afterwards, and that's okay. It's okay to not be the person who acts in the middle of the thing. It's great if you can. Sometimes I am, and sometimes I'm not. Okay, so what was the other thing? Two more things.
Habit.
Meditation. I do a 10-minute meditating app every day. It's the Waking Up with Sam Harris. I love it. I barely can find the 10 minutes, but I really try hard. And um, he reminds you often that the reason you do meditation is not only for yourself, but it's for others. To be the best person, again, this is that theme, to be the best person I can for you, Marco, for Chris or Katie or Kristen, my husband, my mom, right?
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And a tool. We are almost finishing.
Well, I mean, I have to say lately, don't I? I have to, unless you mean like, you know, I don't know, like, um, I mean, I do use a lot of eye cream. Does that count as a tool?
No problem. Now a
I'm
movie.
47,
Yeah,
not doing too bad.
yeah, absolutely,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Uh, a movie.
A movie. These are hard questions.
Okay.
Um, I'm just gonna say Star
Yeah,
Wars.
do you know who was the first king of Portugal?
No, I'm terrible with history and geography. Um, so I'm gonna say Star Wars. It's super boring, maybe, but like I've watched that movie a million times, like everybody else.
Oh, look,
I
look, look! Someone has to say something about your choice.
which oh, there you go. Is that Chewy? Punch it, Chewy. Good on you. I even remember when there was that special about his family. Like, remember on TV they did like a Chewbacca special. So weird. But the thing I like about Star Wars the best is I remember my dad taking me to that movie, and I remembered looking at my dad in the theater and just thinking he was so amazing for taking me to this thing, And I felt that, as I still do, I feel that spark of hope and joy because they're underdogs, um, and they win. You know the outcome, right? And it's corny, which I like all the corny jokes. And Harrison Ford, of course, is just dreamy. Um, but I like the fight. I like to know. I like that everybody's in it all the way, and that they're winning. They're in it to win, and they're willing to risk, and they're having a good time on the way there. It's like my life. I mean, this is my startup. This is what we're doing. We don't have as nice of a ship. Um, that's for sure. But
Not yet.
not yet. Yes, not yet.
And a TV show.
TV show, The Office, of course.
Good.
It's all true, right? That's the best part about that show is everything is true and endlessly hilarious, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Kate, we come to the end.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you so much for joining me. Please let people know where they can find you.
Oh yes. So please connect with me on LinkedIn. Tell me that you met me over here in Marco Land, and I'm just Kate Bradley, KateBradley. And then lately is Lately.AI. We would love to hear from you, but you know, no pressure. We're just super nice people. What we do have that sales conversion of 98%. So if you get a demo, look out. Exactly. Right.
Thank you so much, Kate. It was a pleasure to have you here. It was a very pleasant conversation. Also, thank you so much for all of you who tuned in today to watch this. Watch because wash it was what I made this morning on the basement.
Awesome.
Sometimes it's not easy to because Portuguese guy speaking English not that easy, but let's do this.
You do
Thank
great.
you so much for those of you who tune in and put your comments and everything. Almost weekend. Enjoy the weekend if it's your case. If you still need to work, do it hard. Hustle.
Yes.
We
Awesome.
will be back soon. Bye bye bye.